Tell me when you're ready to start. We're all ready to go.
Oh, perfect. I think we just started recording when you were half in to say. All right. What is up, everybody? My name is Jack from the Golden Dice Podcast. With me, Tommy is still out, so we have his younger brother, Shane, who I'm sorry to say that, but he's here with us again.
Oh, boo.
We heard pretty much unanimous boo across the entire listener spectrum.
Yeah.
And with us, we have the one person that was able to join the Double Blanks community and make it out with a little bit of sanity, Mr. Chip.
Questionable at best, but thank you, Jack and Shane. It's nice to be here. Love your podcast, and I hope that I do not derail it tonight.
No, of course not. You have the infinite wisdom of the Rochester meta that you'll be able to bring here and help us dissect.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's finite. It's finite. I can promise you that. But we'll see. But I'm excited to talk about it. It was a fun event for sure.
Yeah. So for anybody listening to either our last week's episode or Mr. Chip's last episode, as I featured on that with Star Wars Destiny Center, I kept talking about how I was going to Maryland. Well, Maryland had a little breeze and they lost electricity. So they were not able to have their regional anymore. And at that time, I thought that was the only day I could go to a regional. So I was like, all right, it's either Rochester or I don't go to a regional at all this entire season. And I didn't want that. So I was able to sucker one of my buddies, Brian. So shout out to him for coming with me. And we made the 6-hour road trip up north to visit Mr. Chip and see what it's like living in a frozen tundra half the year.
It's funny because on the advertising, like the marketing for the regional in Rochester, it was Rochester Star Wars Destiny regional, the other regional. So it was like really drawing people in. And but yes, it was great to have you there. And I was shocked to see you because I turned my head for like 5 minutes, and then there's all these new prizes for Destiny that you brought to the podcast last week. All the world prizes, all this cool stuff. And then I turned my head the other way, and then you show up at the tournament. I look over and I see this. It was supposed to be golden shirt, but I want to say for the record, it's more of a saffron, like a chartreuse color shirt.
Hey, look.
Shirt.
We'll send our complaints over to customink.com because that's where I got my t-shirts from.
No, it was lovely. But I mean, it was definitely a bright shirt, the flowing black hair. I said, that's got to be Jack. And there it was you. It was you. I was shocked and embarrassed that I didn't read Twitter. Like, how long's Rochester away? And there you were.
I know I sent you a few messages and I guess your kids distracted you or whatever, but you're really just ignoring me. And I showed up and you're like, wait, you're coming to this? I thought you said Maryland. I was like, I was, but that got canceled. You're like, oh.
It didn't make any sense. It took me like at least a couple matches to figure that out. Like, oh, wait. Oh, is that what happened?
But the next day you woke up on Sunday. You're like, oh, yeah. I get it now.
Ours was supposed to be, was almost canceled. Like it was really, really bad before. And
yeah.
But it all worked out, and it definitely was cool that you were there.
Yeah, it was awesome getting to meet you and just some other content creators up there. Thundershot Games, we'll talk about them and give a shout out to them towards the end too. And then, yeah, like you mentioned, a few other of fans and whatnot we were able to get to meet. And yeah, it was just really great networking, and playing Destiny is always fun. But meeting that community and meeting some friends and stuff is always the cherry on top of it all.
Oh, for sure. And the other thing that was a bonus for us in Rochester was that I was worried no one was going to play Sabine Ezra. So, that you covered that. And I want to say on behalf of the community, thank you.
Well, as we've talked about, before in our other shows, Rebels is just a great show. And this past last season, I wanted to pay a little homage to that show that everybody will be missing as it concluded this past Monday. Super
cool characters.
And I know you wanted that. You were like, Sabine is definitely my all-time favorite Star Wars character. I just want to get hit by threes all day. So,
spoilers,
Jack, please run.
No spoilers. I can't hear it.
Oh, of course not.
I have 8 seasons to catch up.
Oh, man. She got a haircut.
Well, I see you're watching Forces of Destiny, so that's a start with your daughters.
Truth be told, she loves that, and it's awesome. I will watch it. I absolutely will watch it at some point. And it sounds like my pathway's clear. Like it's Rebels all day. Clone Wars if I'm bored. Is that really where? Is it Rebels really? Whoa, is that wrong?
I don't know.
Is it Clone Wars?
I like Clone Wars. There's some episodes of Clone Wars. There's some arcs. They set that show up in arcs. So it'll be like 3 episodes at a time telling one particular story. Then they just completely change characters. But there's some with like if you like Mandalorians and Darth Maul, like Clone Wars is so good in that aspect.
Oh, okay.
But Rebels has their episodes too with that. So
okay,
both are good. But if you have Netflix, it's Clone Wars.
Which one's Savage in?
That's Clone Wars.
Clone Wars.
Okay.
Yeah, they're two different beasts. Clone Wars has a lot of different stuff, and obviously went for, I think there's 6 seasons.
Yeah, 5.
I forget.
5 put out, and then they put like half a season on Netflix just because got canceled.
Yeah, and then Rebels has that giant overall arc, so it's really cool. It's different things. Rebels, you get to see those, the Ghost crew, Phoenix Squadron, just kind of grow up and change and stuff. Whereas Clone Wars, you're hopping around to a million different places, which is cool because you get to see the galaxy, but you're not really growing too much aside from like Anakin and Obi-Wan.
Yeah,
I love Star Trek. It's awesome.
So yeah, once they went through the gate, it was really good.
That was very good. It was great.
All right, so we'll get into to Rochester. Yeah, so I took the journey 6 hours with my buddy Brian. We basically got in my car. It was still snowing a little bit down in Jersey, but it wasn't too bad. And honestly, once we passed the Poconos, it started to clear up a little bit, and actually wasn't a bad drive at all. But for some reason, my GPS took us off an exit, which I felt was early, but I didn't know any better because I had no idea where I was going. And it took us through like the backwoods of Pennsylvania. And, not to offend any of the Amish out there, but it was definitely the middle of nowhere. We were going over these windy hills and whatnot. And
I don't think you're going to offend them, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sure.
Listening in right now.
Also, too busy churning butter to listen to Golden Dice. Come on.
The first Golden Dice Open is going to be in a heart-shaped bathtub over in the Poconos, by the way. Poconos. Oh, my God. That is next.
Oh man.
Poconos.
But
sorry. Keep going. This is good.
Yeah, this is what everybody came in and tuned in to was about my car ride.
Google Maps narration by Jack. So what? Tell me after the Poconos, what happened? You took an exit. It was the wrong exit.
Yes. So we're going over these windy hills and whatnot, and I had no idea what was happening. But so eventually we arrive in Rochester, and it's like 3:30 in the morning. We roll up to the hotel, which we think is the cheapest one.
No.
And it turned out it wasn't, but we didn't care because we just wanted to get some sleep. And they reject us because the computer wasn't working. So we drive 6 hours and we're told the hotel can't check us in. They have rooms available, but the computer's not working, so we have to leave.
What?
They're calling me right now. Why did you? Okay, you could. I should have given you my number. You could have called me. That is ridiculous. I would. Even for Jay and Chris, I would have let them stay at my house for Christmas Eve.
Wow.
And we don't have bed bugs, which that hotel probably would have if it was letting you in at 3:30 in the morning.
Well, yeah, but then if I leave your house, you're probably going to shove some rebellion leaders in my pockets just to get them off your hands.
Yes. I would have totally messed with your deck, but I mean, that's just,
Put one villain card in there so I get instantly disqualified first round.
Terrible. Oh, I do have a story about that, but maybe that's an off-air story. But anyway, not about mine.
But eventually, so we get rejected from that hotel. We go to a new one. It's still right down the street, so it's not that bad. But we get our room keys. We go up. So you know how there's that like lock that lets you open the door a little bit, like that chain thing, so you can kind of peek in the room or answer the door without having to open it all the way?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And so they swung that, and that was in between the door and the door frame or whatever. So the door is propped open, which is weird because you would think the room that you're about to check into wouldn't have that. And so we go into the room, and there's like pants on the floor. There's like takeout on the counter. The bed sheets are all like everywhere, and there's like dishes in the sink. And honestly, I thought somebody was about to jump out and murder me because I didn't know what was going on.
Welcome to Rochester.
Yeah, welcome to Rochester. Where Mr. Chip, it's his home place, man. He's a rough guy.
God.
Rough town.
So you went into someone's room at 3:30 in the morning?
Nobody was there. But I think it was an old room that they never cleaned out. I don't know.
Was there a chalk outline in any way, shape, or form?
Yeah, there was some caution tape and chalk outline.
Good Lord.
But so eventually we go back downstairs, and the lady was just super apologetic. She was super nice. She went upstairs to check 2 more rooms, and neither of them were cleaned. And eventually she found us a room on the smoking floor. And man, it smelled like a casino up there walking around.
Yeah, that's the worst.
But we finally got in, and I just passed out despite being a little creeped out from the fact that we'd walked into a room and it felt like I was going to get murdered. Yeah. But we finally got a room. I got about 5 hours of sleep, woke up, got a shower, and then we arrived to the beautiful place to see the beautiful face of Mr. Chip.
Oh, there I am. So reflecting back on that, Millennium Games, shout out to them for sure. They definitely know how to throw a tournament. Am I right about that? Like they've got a
absolutely
great prize support. It is not picturesque. I wasn't kidding when I said Kohl's is really the photo op of that place. So, but it's a super inviting store, and the people who work there are fantastic. So
Yeah, it was awesome, man. Yeah, the prize support, like every other round, they were giving out a pack if you happen to win that round. So of course, my 2 losses were during the rounds where they handed out packs, so I missed some of them.
oddly enough, my wins were the same time. So
Oh, there you go. So that was great. Yeah, and then they had extra. They were handing out some, raffling off some tokens, and they were just really good all around. So yeah, definitely shout out to them. And if you are in the Rochester area, definitely recommend checking out Millennium Games and trying to go there for any gaming needs, because they were big too. I mean, they had everything you could think of board games. They supported X-Wing. They had a Warhammer tournament going on the other side of the room. Some Magic players, some Yu-Gi-Oh. So there's definitely something for everybody there.
awesome. Yeah, and just talking to Shane a little bit just about the other scene of FFG games and stuff that they have. Like it's tough, man. FFG, the one thing they do really well is like they package their stuff really well. They make great tokens and those dice and just all the components like are awesome. They just look really good on the shelf, and it's hard not to do it. Like whatever it is, Legion. It's going to be hard to pass it
Yeah,
up.
no, for sure. I'm gonna throw my
Oh, I'm
wallet
already in there.
right at their bank account.
Super Glue and I are just not. I'm not sure we're meant. Like that doesn't need to be in my life right now, but it might be.
But yeah, that's one of the best things about FFG is just their like prize support for all the games and stuff.
Yeah.
Like weekly tournaments have prize support. Like that's awesome.
No.
Very awesome.
What were you gonna say though, Shane?
Are they plastic pieces or metal pieces for Legion?
They're plastic, but from what I hear, they're pretty good quality, and they're generally easy to assemble. The only thing you really have to glue is them to their bases, I think.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, I mean, most of the time, like War Machine pieces came in like 30 parts, especially when you're assembling the bigger ones. So
Those are metal.
yeah, yeah, they kind of transitioned from metal to plastic and then back to metal. They were all over the place, but yeah, they're. I like the plastic route. That's good.
Lead? Are they lead?
Yeah, they were just lead. Yep.
Yeah, good. Or
Pure
mercury,
lead.
either one.
Yeah, they harvested the mercury from the fish and then they put it into these miniatures.
Oh, nice. Good.
So, welcome to Golden Dice, the Star Wars Legion podcast.
You laugh. That is definitely coming from you.
Oh yeah.
I totally feel it.
Oh,
You can play it on
I can't. I know nothing about war games. There's no way I could talk strategically about that.
That's exactly what people want, Jack. They don't want
Perfect.
they want you. So
Yeah, I don't know about that.
For the face.
But I guess so. About the Rochester, there were 66 people there, which was awesome.
Yeah. Did you what? So the cap was 150. So I was a little bit. I don't know. I thought 75. But yeah, 66 isn't too bad. The weather was bad.
Yeah, you figure that weekend, and kind of how it played out a little bit. Some people might have stayed home, or it's what idiot wants to drive 6 hours to just go and play a tournament for once?
With a guy in a gold shirt. The other thing is, I've never been in a place where there's been that many people playing Destiny, so that was pretty cool.
Same. Yeah, it was my first ever regional.
Yep.
Or really like any type of thing as big as that, like for any other card game or whatever it might be.
I feel like 67 people probably showed up and they were like, you know what, Palpatine would only want 66, so they just they booted someone up before. Most likely
True.
would happen.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, you're just lucky it wasn't you, Jack.
But yeah, so 66 people. Yeah, I mean, you always hope for more. If they would fill out that cap, that would be crazy though, because at 150 people, you might have to do a 2-day tournament, which I would rather not get that.
No, Atlanta is coming up, and that's supposed to be pretty huge. What did they get in Minnesota? Do you know? I think it was pretty high.
Not off the top of my head, but I might be able to.
I think it was not over 100 or anything like that. That's their home base. So if they can't get it there, they're not getting in Rochester.
Yeah, I don't think they hit triple digits yet.
At any of them.
Yeah, at any of them. I think you're right.
But it's definitely better than it was before. And I think the game is, I don't know what you thought about that, Jack, but I felt leaving the game in terms of players and the type of players that were there, which I know we'll talk about, but I felt like it was in a good place.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, even though we feel like 66 is a small number, still to have consistently between like 50 to 100 people at these regionals. Like I'm looking through the numbers here, like, yeah, New York had 66 and another USA one had 55 and 59 and 98 in Illinois, and New Jersey had 75. So it's like seeing this game and the constant support that it has at all these regionals is just super encouraging.
Yep, that is good.
So what was not encouraging, of course, is finishing ninth by 0.01. And now I think it's almost safe to say at this point, it's the curse of the Golden Dice podcast host, as Tommy got ninth also back in New Jersey. And I blame him, because I feel like if he didn't come in ninth, I probably wouldn't have come in ninth.
I don't even know how to explain that to you. And I felt like I'm somebody who pushes the river, so I like to say words when there's none being spoken. And I could tell that you were doing some math in your head and trying to just get on the numbers. And I just, was trying to give you examples of close calls in history, things to be proud of. That if you had fun, you won. And by the third of those, I thought the steely stare indicated to me that it was time to be quiet.
Yeah, you looked at me. Well, after the postings went up, you just looked at me like, Jack, I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just gonna walk away.
It's hard. And, I reflected back and it's been a long time since I've done something like that. And the last time I did it was in 1990, I think 7. And I was at, it was, what was it called? It wasn't Gen Con. It was in Columbus, Ohio. And it was for Magic and just something of that scale. And I remember just being you're just so charged about what you did for like 24 hours. It takes you to cool down. And I felt like I was replaying everything in my head for like that whole night. And I was beating myself up. And hey, there's only one person who's going to win. And I know that it's all about winning in some cases, but truthfully, it really isn't. I mean, it's about playing with people that enjoy the game and getting to test out these decks against people who actually are really top flight players. And, that doesn't even make any sense. 0.01. Like there's no way that even makes any sense.
Yeah, ultimately, I had a great time. Got to meet a lot of great people, and if I look at it, how much could I really expect from my first time at that type of environment? So coming in ninth my first time is obviously a good achievement. I'm not disappointed, but it's almost like they showed the stat, or I remember reading this like study where it was like the person who got the silver medal was more unhappy than the person who got the bronze medal because they were like so close. And so to come in ninth and just miss top 8 definitely stinks, but it's not really something I'm too upset about or losing sleep over because it was a great weekend and I had a lot of fun. Stinks to miss, but I actually get to go to Connecticut this weekend. My girlfriend knows how competitive I can be sometimes. And she's like, I know you got ninth. I know you want to try again. We can move our plans around. You can go to Connecticut on Saturday. And I was like, I didn't even ask. And you're letting me do that? Yes.
Have you ever seen the movie Tin Cup? One of Kevin Costner's great films. And if you haven't, there's a scene in there where he is attempting to clear water with a shot and he misses. And then he snaps his fingers and his cat gives him another ball and he does it again. He misses again. And then it's just like this total tailspin into the abyss of like 9 shots before you get so I just don't want to see that happen to you.
Yeah.
You're getting back up on the horse and it's good.
Yeah, ultimately, I mean, it'll be fun just going there again, just meeting people because I know how much fun I had regardless. So, obviously aiming to improve upon stuff, but, who knows if that happens. And if it doesn't, it's not a big deal. So
there you go. As your Destiny dad, I would say, I'm proud of you. Destiny son. That's very well. That's a good way to approach it.
Thanks, Dad.
Destiny dad. And I want you to understand we support you.
Yeah, man. It was, and I mean, ultimately, I got to walk away with some discard to reroll and some double blanks promos, man. Now I want to play Kylo too.
I feel like I would have brought more. I was feeling so bad that you didn't make it. I was actually more concerned about you than me, and that's the Catholic faith and upbringing that I had. Like I need to get a little bit more competitive at that moment, but like I would meet these people and think about their drive and like how much that really mattered to them. Like, dude, whatever. This is just let's have some fun and.
For sure.
And if I saw Towson one more time, I was going to flip a table, but that, whatever.
Yeah, I know. You were even saying that you were going to stick around if I made the top 8 to watch my games. So I was like, oh man, what a good dad.
Yes, Destiny dad has to do that and support their children. But it is, so did you see what did make number 8? What deck it was?
So I have the top 8 with me and the winners and the runner up and stuff. I don't know the exact deck that was that ace spot.
Well, I do because you posted it in this Star Wars Destiny DB, and you might recognize it.
Yeah, I was going to say, from the tone of Chip's voice, I could take a guess at which deck it is.
Well, it says Sabine Ezra 6-1 Swiss top 8 Rochester. So I thought that was 8, but I could be wrong.
No, so there was actually a big explosion in the Facebook group about that. Because in the last match, he was 6-0 and he was facing a 5-1.
Yes, you're right. He just conceded.
And he scooped and forfeited his game because he really had nothing to win, but the person he was playing had everything to lose. So he just kind of scooped his game to drop him to 6-1 because he was going to be in no matter what, and so that let the other guy get in about that. And there was a whole big thing about people threw around the word collusion, and I see both sides of it. Yeah, I don't really care either way. I would have been upset if it affected me. Like if I had played that 6-0 person, and if he won and went to 7-0, that might have bumped me up. But ultimately, I really don't like. The biggest thing is, if I go 6-1 or 7-0, that gets me in. When you go 5-2, there's always that chance that you're going to miss, and you just have to accept that if you lose 2 games.
Yeah, I was talking to Scott
Man, my
about
voice is
that
cracked.
a lot, actually. That whole thing, Scott, and just like the group chat with Scott, Tommy, John, and all those. And yeah, we were talking about, and we were saying it can't really be collusion unless like he was going to gain something out of it. So, but I get the aspect of saying like, yeah, so someone who won a game, now this guy didn't have to fight for the win, and not the guy who gave the win to, and now he automatically gets it, and then it bumps up everyone else's strength of schedule or down wherever you're at. But he didn't get anything from it, and if you're like a karma person, he lost first round in top 8. So like if you're mad that he gave it away, well, his placing 6-1 instead of 7-0 made him face an opponent that he lost to in top 8. So I think either way, end of story there. It's okay. Like he did what he wanted to do. He's allowed to concede to the guy, but if you think it's kind of unfair, well, karma got him. He lost. So
yeah. So I mean, that was what happened with that. But so I'll read off just from the winner down all the way through the rest of the top 8, just so we have it, and then we can make any comments or thoughts about that if we played against any of them. So the winner of the tournament was Boba's 7 sister. The runner-up was Thrawn and Mother Talzin. And then for the top 4 was a Poe Hondo and another Boba 7 sister. And then to round out the top 8 was Sabine Ezra, Thrawn Mother Talzin, Poe Hondo, and Hero Vehicles. And I think Hero Vehicles was that A seed. I think I do actually have that in order, but what surprised me here was Poe Hondo, and I can't really complain because first round, that's what I lost to. It wasn't either of those pilots, but I was surprised to see Poe Hondo out in such force, and I was surprised to see that in two of the top 8.
Yeah, so he plays at Just Games in Penfield, which is the other place that we play on Tuesday nights when I'm allowed out of the house. And he's a really good player, and I think that deck is nasty. I really do. I think it's a great deck, and I know it's not as aggressive maybe as some of these other ones, but man, it's can do damage in a hurry, and that Poe dice is amazing. And I don't know, Poe's nasty too. It's a good deck, and it did it. But the funny thing is, so the deck I played was Boba 7 sister, and the difference between me and those people is those people probably either played it a lot more or were better. But I felt like that was going to be strong. And as the old saying goes, I put emphasis on the wrong syllable on that deck. I don't think I had enough. I exchanged like last minute too, which was stupid. But
yeah, definitely everybody knows that saying.
Yeah, very popular in these parts. Jack, as an honorary Rochesterian now.
The Rochester thing.
Did Brian actually survive that night? You didn't mention that he made his way back.
I haven't heard from him, so who knows?
Yeah, he's still in the hotel.
I saw him on Action News the other day. Yeah.
No, he was all right, and that's awesome for him to come and do that. And I think ultimately he did enjoy himself. He's not somebody that enjoys car rides either, so to leave in the middle of half a snowstorm and drive 6 hours definitely wasn't something he would normally do. So he's not a spontaneous guy either. So that's nothing about that trip was up his alley.
I'm not sure anyone would say, yes, Jack, I'm really looking forward to a 6-hour drive with you to New Jersey or to Rochester. This would be super fun.
You mean you don't want to sit in a car with me for 6 hours and as I talk Destiny off?
No.
And then on the way home, I can recount all my errors for the 100th time.
Here's what I can tell you. That's all I do. Like I should have, if it was about how much time, like some guy, so I played R2P2, which by the way, if anyone hasn't had that pleasure of playing it live, it is as good as playing it on Tabletop Simulator. And by good, I mean, I honestly wanted to cut my own fingers off because I felt like that would have been less painful than playing that deck. And he rushed me because we almost went to time. And I'm like, you know what, whatever. If I can leave, you can win. That's how I don't want to see you or him later, but just not right now in your deck. It's terrible. But if there was if I would have made the top cut for people who listen and read about Destiny, because that's all I do, but it didn't help me in this context.
Well, you're taking too much coaching from those two goofballs over at Double Blanks.
They're terrible. I don't even want to. I said I was going to. So here's what I was going to do. Jane, tell me if this is crazy or not. I was going to play Anakin and who was the pair for him? I got to go look into who I had.
Rivals Anakin?
Rivals Anakin and Kylo, 2-player Kylo.
Okay.
Because Sir
Christopher,
right? Sir Christopher, who's he's knighted in his own mind. He said, that's the deck when Rivals Atlanta Rivals becomes legal, that's what I'm going to play. So he has this.
What, is Chris here right now?
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Whoa.
It sounds like it. There'd be a lot more anger. So he's talking about this deck. I'm like, all right, well, I put one together. I took a picture of it, texted him, nothing. I said, could you just give me a little bit of feedback? Nothing. It's very hard. He's very busy. Very. And you get to that level of status in Destiny, and so yeah, my coach didn't help me.
Coach,
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad deck. I mean, I think it would have worked. I like Ketsu. Like Ketsu Maul is what I've kind of been like daydreaming about lately. So I do want to mix in those Rivals characters. Yeah. At some point.
Everyone says, well, they were really hot on Anakin, and I know I'm birdwalking you, but they were really hot on Anakin. Everything was great, and then everybody says he stinks now. Get ready, he's coming back full circle, kind of like Thrawn. But like Thrawn again. Thrawn's going to be a thing. And by the way, one of my takeaways, and I know we're not even close to summarizing it yet, so get comfortable. But my one takeaway was that everyone net decks. So just be ready for it. Like I didn't know going into this regional, like how bad would net decking be? Oh, and by bad I don't mean it's a bad thing. By bad I meant prevalent. How prevalent is it? It is super prevalent, because I promise you, 0 people knew about Thralzin before the guys over at Destiny Council did it. So that was everywhere, right? Didn't you say it was in the 2 of the company?
Yeah, and a few weeks ago we had our own specialist named Shane come into Janku Jankyard and actually say he thought Thrawn Towson could be a legitimate counter to the current meta, especially that was like right after OTK popped up. And it's really funny to see that was something we messed around with on our show. And Tommy and I didn't really take it and run with it. It was more like of something we did. I played a test game with it, and I was like, wow, this actually is pretty good. And then those guys at the Destiny Council had been play testing it and refined it and made it the weld-oil machine that it is. But it was just kind of funny that Shane brought it up on our show, and then a few weeks later, it was huge.
That's it. Ding for Shane. That's you. That's
man. I'm back. That's the only reason I'm back on the cast.
Yeah, we were about to cut you, but we're like, all right, well,
came up with
back, sign an extension.
Awesome.
One more shot.
Well, here we can start to dive in a little bit, I guess, about how we did. If we just want to go round by round, does that work for you, Chip?
Oh, it definitely does, because I know you took copious notes.
Yeah, not that much, but first round, Poe Hondo, and this was I started off 0-1. I made definitely some mistakes. I should have paid him off. I got too greedy, wanting to go into the next round with 4 resources, because I had claimed a resource with Ezra. And I was going to claim the battlefield because we were on the Outer Rim outpost. So I would have been at 2, and then the 2 from the next round. So I would have been at 4. That would have let me play a weapon and still mitigate. And I got greedy wanting 4. So I let him do 3 damage from Poe into Sabine. And then next turn, he played the DL-44 Heavy Blaster, rolled out Fast Hands, 2 Disrupt, and then did the special on Hondo and the 3 from that gun on the Sabine and killed her at the end of round 2. So her dying was not good. I blew Poe off the board, but it's still I played it wrong, and he was a good player and everything. Of course, not taking anything away from him, but there were a few mistakes of how I handled that Poe encounter, because that was almost one I didn't even think about too much, and that's my own fault, and it bit me in the butt a little bit. So I started out 0-1, a little nervous. How did your first round go?
Here's the funny thing. I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday. And that is like a very detailed account of that. The reality is, for me, I was, 44 years old. I was nervous sitting down. And I think everybody, so one of my takeaways also for people is that everybody's nervous at those. Like down, you got a lot of energy going. If you're like Jack, you're freshly showered from a murder hotel, right? You're ready to go. And so you're sitting down with your deck. I'm nervous that I didn't have the right cards in the deck. I got so nervous so Alan Preston, shout out to him, and it was awesome to get a chance to meet him. And by the way, he was my personal bouncer if things got out of control. That dude is jacked. So I had everything ready to go like weeks in advance. And I look inside my little Zen box, which is my decision I made for bringing the deck, which I love. Those Zen boxes worked out, and or Zen bins, whatever they're called. And I didn't have the freaking Seeker droid die. Like, how does that even happen? It was in my car. I didn't want to get up and leave. I thought so anyway, he let me borrow the die. So I was more nervous about just making sure I had a legal deck than, knowing the round by round. But at the end of the day, you can play the gauntlet, you can train all you want and play test, and you open up your regionals first experience and you play a Count freaking Dooku deck. And then how your day is going to go. Right. And I don't even remember what the hell Dooku does. And the next thing I know, I lost. So that was that. So all the testing in the world, there's Boba Fett, my beautiful bins, fanny packs on, feeling good, hair's tight. and I lose to a Dooku deck.
Hair's tight.
Yep, I was looking fly. And this guy
Oh,
rolls up.
man.
Yeah, I played every now and then.
I think I actually saw a girl walk into the room, take one look at your fanny pack, and just pass out.
You did.
She was really she was blown away.
It was hard for everybody, but particularly for me when I lost to Dooku, I'm like, all right, well, that's the end of this.
Who was he partnered with? Do you remember?
No, I tried to think about it in the car ride back over here today.
Jeez.
I don't remember any. It was like an out of body experience. I saw it. And I'm like, what? Wait, what? What am I looking at? What is this?
He just kept zoning in on Dooku, just being like, "Oh my gosh, that curved lightsaber."
He's listening. Oh my god, he was so excited too. So that I got joy out of that. And
we sat next to each other that round too, actually, didn't we? I think that first round we did.
We did. Yep, we did. So that was it. Round one.
So round one, both of us starting off 0-1.
Big fat L. Yep.
The way we drew it up. So next round we go into, and I play Obi-Wan Maz, and I forget his name. I'm awful with names, so I feel if he's listening to this right now, I apologize so much. But he actually top 8'd at Gen Con because he busted out that Luke Skywalker mat that Tommy also has. I was like, oh man, this is going to be awful. He's going to know all the tricks. Something must have happened last game. He's going to blow me out of the water.
Which mat did he
and
have?
then first round, I put like four or five on Obi-Wan. And that was just about all that happened. So nothing too crazy. We exchanged some damage. He probably did 4 or 5. So first action, next turn, I roll out, and I had the never tell me the odds play, but I didn't even have to use it because I just rolled into 10 damage and killed Obi-Wan while he even had an ancient lightsaber on him. And that just about closed the game. And I did I did 3 more damage to Maz to take 3 shields off of her. And then we go into the third round. I roll out and get 9 damage and just one-shot Maz. And I was like, I feel so bad for you.
That's skill, right? When you do that, that's what they define skill as.
All those hours of training prepared me for that moment.
To roll 45 damage in 3 turns, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's a fun deck to play against. Did what kind of mat did you say? Did he have the Luke Skywalker mat?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he finished 8. He was top 8 at what? That was World Gen Con last year.
Okay. I think that's North American, right? Nationals or whatever. Yeah.
Yep.
Nationals was Grievous, I think. What?
Oh, was it? So it was Gen Con. Gen Con wasn't Worlds, right?
No, it wasn't Worlds.
Gen Con's,
I don't exactly remember how it breaks down.
Yeah, it's some championship.
Yeah. So that was fun. He clearly defeated, and I think he played his Sabine Ezra first round too. So I really made his day. Put the cherry on top.
Poor guy.
For sure.
But that was just one of the things, and that was one of the reasons why I brought Sabine, because sometimes she just can go off like that, and it doesn't matter what your opponent deck, whatever you're running, Bro TK, it doesn't matter if Sabine just rolls 19 damage back to back, So that was my first round. So I'm up to 1-1.
That's good. Good for you. And I was very happy for you at that moment. I actually was also 1-1, Jack, if you must know. I played who was it? Talzin and Kylo, which, by the way, I also played the next round too, in which, by the way, Talzin was everywhere. Yeah. And by the way, I have no idea who Talzin is. So, I mean, I again, a character from Star Trek that decided to make their way into this freaking game.
Yeah.
Clone Wars, baby.
Clone Wars.
She's very good. Just very good. I mean, you can roll out and, people, I remember when it was spoiled and the guys from D-House and Rebel Spy, Mike Rudin had that on their show, the Jedi Trials. And, I thought, I don't want to play blue algebra. I really don't want to have to deal with math, like 1s and 3s and no odds. But it's not that hard to do. And if you have a guaranteed ability, change the die and fits with your die and get it right, he's good. But not that good. You couldn't stop Boba, 7 sister.
Not at all. When some tournament reports came out early, I was saying, like, I can't believe how she's not in more decks. Like, I saw her with Kylo too, and I was like, that pairing's fine. Sure. I mean, I know it's mixed damage, and that's fine. Her dice alone are good enough for her points. I mean, damage, 2 damage focus right there. It's like a Balak Teak damage, but like, without the modifier. But I was just so shocked she wasn't everywhere, and it seems like she was this week for you guys.
Jack, would you agree? I mean, am I overstating that, or was she everywhere?
No, she was everywhere, and that's the thing with her. Like you mentioned, like it's all these odd costed cards, and that kind of hurts your normal curve of a normal deck,
right?
Because you're generally only starting with 2 resources. Some people play Maz's Vault and whatever, or aggressively claim, but pairing her with Thrawn just kind of negates that almost because he has that double resource side. So that's like he's the match made in heaven for her. Pairing blue and red was really good. And it just makes you afford all those expensive cards that you had to put in your deck because you wanted to get her ability to hit every time. And I think these decks even had 30 odd costed cards. Some we've seen might do like holocrons and doubts, so they're down to 26 or something like that. But these decks put all 30 odd costed cards, and they hit every single time with her activation.
Yeah, it's 100%. Thrallsen does. I mean, the one that what's his face put together at Destiny Consoles, 30 odd cards, man.
Yep.
Yeah. It's brutal.
I mean, more than her ability too. Witch Magic is such a nasty card. One resource to heal every turn.
Oh my gosh,
it's disgusting.
Yeah,
it was a great card.
And then especially too, like with Thrawn, he's ripping your mitigation out of your hand or your combo cards or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Him rolling out and saying 3 every time with my Sabine deck. It was like, all right, there goes my second chance. There goes my hyperspace jump. There goes my never tell me the odds. So
yeah,
it was brutal.
Yeah, I have a bunch of notes on that deck because I know we want to talk about how Brian did, so I can get into some of my thoughts about Thrawn Townsend for that too.
Yeah.
When we get to there.
Of course. Yeah. So that's round 2 for us, right? We'll move on to 3. And I play Chip's second favorite deck, second only to Sabine Ezra. I play against R2P2.
Yeah, that's a fine vintage.
And it actually worked out pretty well for me. I was able to friends and low, get rid of a caution. And so that kind of saved me 3 more damage I had to chew through. And I killed Poe first and then went for Ray. And it actually came down to the wire because he had 2 cards in hand. I had claimed, I think, and we'll see that theme come up to bite me later in the butt. And basically, if he pitched a reroll, got it perfectly, he would have killed Sabine and that would have been the game. But luckily he missed and he still did it at like 5 damage, but I think he needed 8 to kill Sabine. And so I lived another round and then I rolled out Never Tell Me the Odds and was able to win that game. So that was super close, but I could tell he was returning to the game. He said he had played before, but he didn't have much experience with the new Legacies cards. So a lot of times we had to stop and show him that. And I think ultimately that was like his downfall a little bit of just, coming back to the game. And that's natural, not knowing all the cards, the combos of what I might have and how to prepare for that. So ultimately it was a close game. And I think, him just being unfamiliar with the cards was kind of what tilted it in my favor a little bit. So 2-1, but was super close.
You said if he pitched a reroll and got 8 damage, he would have killed you. Is that what you said?
Yeah, he already had like 4 or 5. Like he had both of Ray's, he had the Ancient, and he had Ray's lightsaber out, I think.
Wow.
And he needed 8, and he pitched twice, 2 or 3 times to get it, and he got like 6 or whatever. So he was just short.
What you're saying is his discard to reroll was not special. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, apparently discard to anything associated with discard to reroll is probably just trash.
It just wasn't special.
Yes. Thanks, Mom. That's pretty much what she thought. Are you doing your little Star Wars show this weekend? Yes, Mom. I'm doing my little Star Wars show. Yeah. Figured it out. Thanks for that. Well, I was 2-1 too, Jack. We were tied, buddy.
There we go.
And a higher strength of schedule. I don't even know.
Probably.
I played again another one of those Townsend and Kylo 2s. And so that's when I learned my deck actually could be pretty good. And I had 10. I don't know the exact die faces I rolled, but I can tell you there was 10 damage that came at him in round 1, and that was really tough for him to deal with. And the card that is just nasty. Maul's lightsaber is amazing. I never Tiny Grimes did a little thing about that where he said the just comboing that with Boba Fett and Boba Fett special, and that's great. I was never able to to pull that off the whole day, which would have been great. But on its own, it's just that card is great. And the other card that was fantastic for me, and I'm trying to find it right here. It's a little ditty. It's card number 79. It's an uncommon. It's 2 cost. It's a Bandit All Hope. That card is nasty, sick nasty. If you can get that out at the right time, that can work. So.
Yeah, being able to find the right time for that is just so crucial and so punishing because it always feels bad at times spending 2 to get rid of their 2 resources because generally they just do that. But it's really funny in my testing with Boba 7th playing that against like a Thrawn deck and they're sitting on like 7 or 8 resources.
Yeah.
It's like abandon all hope that you're not going to discard your hand, are you?
Chip, did you just kill Townsend turn 1 with that 10 damage or was that?
Yep. That was it.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
She's the battery for those decks. So if you take her out, the deck kind of just turns off.
Yep. And you're right because he was pulling, doing his little BS with it, and it was working just fine. I kind of feel like you just got to get that out of there.
Yeah.
My big downfall comes in 2 more rounds, which I'm still bitter about, but we'll get to that.
So, all right, we'll move on to number 4 then, and this is where I played Boba Fett and Seven Sisters. So I played the deck that Mr. Chip was running. I did not play Mr. Chip, but this was a weird game, and oftentimes I think I obviously played it right, but the downfall I see sometimes of Sabine players is that they focus so much on loading up Sabine with guns that they don't actually try for survival. So she's able to die. So first round, it was weird. I did, I think, no damage, but like instead of paying for a gun, I was able to mitigate, and then I stole resources. And then next turn, I was set up to pay for a gun and do never tell me the odds at the same time. So I was sitting on money at the end of that round, and then we go into second round, and I never tell me the odds and blow Seven Sister off the board for 12 damage to get through 2 shields also. So it was awesome. Ezra obviously helped out rolling the +2s with him, but being able to roll out and just blow the Seven Sister off the board turn 2 was the big thing. And then I didn't do too much damage to Boba Fett either until the 4th round, and I did never tell me the odds again and blew him right off the table. So this is a great interactive deck, and I really enjoy Sabine, and I think it really brings a lot to the game.
You roll really well. You roll really well.
He just rolled.
Oh, it doesn't matter. I just played never tell me the odds.
Oh, right. Yeah. So that's, and what is there? How many, is there a limit on the dice you can turn with that thing?
No.
Nope. One character. Well, it has to be all of that characters and upgrades dice. So I couldn't turn Ezra's, but I can turn both of Sabine's and however many upgrades she has.
Jack's really good at like taking the die in between 2 fingers and then turning it to whatever side he wants.
Oh,
super
yes.
good.
Oh, it's amazing.
That is
like, it's really hard. Like, you wouldn't think about it until you have to do it in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. with great skill. It's really fun.
Yeah, of course.
With all the nerds Trip was talking about.
So I was play testing a little bit with Mike Rudin, and his feedback to me was, you worry more about your deck than your opponent's, and know what your deck does and just do that at all costs. And, at the regional, I have the disadvantage of knowing a lot about the other decks. And so I know what they can do. And I felt like I worried more about what they were going to do versus what I was going to do. And so the fix I've got to figure out is just to know my deck way better. And you can only do that through playing it, really, and just testing it.
Yeah.
The only way to know that. But anyway, well, good for you. And now you're 3-1 and feeling great, right?
Yeah. Feeling pretty good at this point, 3-1.
And I'm 2-1, feeling really like I'm thinking this is turning around. This could be it. Like the really new guy who downplays his ability could come through and maybe do something. And then I saw R2P2, and that was the end of that for me. It just didn't happen. And Shields came out, and it just didn't work. And then it was a long game, and I got frustrated, I think, quickly. And you just, I don't know. I don't know when that deck gets going. It's just tough. And I didn't have a lot of experience playing against it, truthfully, and didn't know the right plays to make, and I felt like I got crushed. And I felt like I shouldn't have. I felt like if I could have worked around it a little bit better, but when they shield up and stuff, it's just hard to get through that stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't have any way to really mitigate that. I don't know.
Yeah, especially when you're a deck that relies on Maul Saber a little bit. Like, that's one of the big things for your deck. If they're shielding up both their characters a lot, it's going to be hard for you to get that second activation of Maul Saber every time, or the power action of it.
Yeah, I mean, he rolled like crazy. So, I mean, what are you going to do? If I don't roll well,
Yeah.
He rolls great. He's great at Destiny. So, Congratulations. 3-2. There you go. It started to go downhill from there pretty quickly.
All right, so that's the end of round 4 for us. We go into 5, and I play
on the details, like the very scientifically studied play by play. I'm just telling you the overall feeling. Like if it was a happy face, if it was a frowny face, or neutral face. That was a frowny face for me.
If we were streaming this, you would have little, those paper plates, and then you would have drawn a smiley face, and then glued one of those popsicle sticks to the back, right? And then just hold up one face or the other.
Mine, I just held up a frowny face with a little tear, thinking
exactly.
Yeah,
so yours was a happy.
Mr. Chip's giving you the emoji version. Jack's telling you how many calories his Fruit Loops had that morning.
Correct. Exactly. Good.
So on to round, what's this, round 5? So at this point, I play Callus Talzin. This is my first run-in with Talzin so far. And this game was
just played. That's what you gave me, your leftovers. That's the best part, and got them all mad that they played me, because that deck wrecked me. But keep going. I'm sorry.
That it would have this game was super close, and it was a very good player. Again, I forget names. I'm awful with names, so please don't hate me if you're listening to this.
From Toronto.
Oh, he's from Toronto. Oh, that's right. I do remember him he was talking about Canadian nationals and stuff like that. So
all you need to know. But anyway.
But yeah, so he was playing. It was pretty quick, back and forth. He blew Ezra off the board. I blew Talzin off the board. But the issue with that is that I didn't kill her fast enough. He got a chance cube out early, and it was able to resolve it for 3 twice. So at this point, she's dead, but I'm looking at Callus with 2 Riot Batons and a DH-17 blaster pistol on him. So that is a stacked Callus. And luckily, Sabine is faster, so I'm able to roll out, resolve my damage. And at this point, I knew not to play upgrades as I rolled out. I just stuck with the 2 that I had because I wanted to keep the 3 resources. And it was good that I did. I rolled out, did damage, and I didn't do any pay sides, even if I had them. I saved them to save my money because then he rolled out, he rolled 10 damage, and then I hyperspace jumped.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And then next round, same thing. I roll out, do some damage. He rolls 8 damage, and then I hyperspace jump. So back-to-back rounds, I avoid 18 damage from 2 hyperspace
I'm actually reading
jumps.
the text you sent.
And that is basically what won me the game. And it worked out perfect because then the next round he rolled out like 2 or 3 damage. So it was like the rounds that he rolled really well, I had hyperspace jump. And the rounds that he rolled poorly were just, it didn't matter because at that point I'd never tell him the odds or whatever to kill Callus. But it was super crazy. And that game made me nervous because Callus can just hit like a truck.
Yeah, Ken. Did he have 3 steps ahead? Did he play that?
He had 2 in that deck, and I don't think he saw either of them.
Yep. Oh, he saw him against me twice.
He made sure to put him on top after he played me. He's like, that's never happening again.
I could not believe how fast, and he was all excited and how he fiddled with his little dice. And it was like, I sat down and I got up and then I lost. I didn't even know what happened. And there's the deck I was playing doesn't do that at all. So I don't know. That was not Destiny. That was just sit down and I'll beat you and then you get back up. That's what I played. Terrible. But you beat him. Congratulations. That card should be banned. Hyperspace jump. Just saying.
It's been errated once.
Yeah, it's already been errated once.
Yeah, play it and then you just have to put it aside like a normal thing. I mean, it's just so. Here, I'll play my stuff.
If we made it like play it, then you have to burn it, right? Play it, burn the card. Eventually, it'll dwindle down so no one can run it.
Do that, and then running interference needs to be unique. But whatever. I digress.
Or like a one-time use or something.
Yeah.
Bad. But what? Did you play Callus Towers in that round, Chip? Or
after you? No, I played the same guy, but I played him after, and he like really destroyed me.
What did you play in the 5th round?
I don't know the exact order. I think that I played. I think I played the guy who had the Obi Moss.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so I saw his little mat and his little tokens, and they were all golden and shiny and all this stuff. I'm like, all right, well, I got a little jacked up for the match and was ready to go. He's a super nice guy, by the way, from Toledo. So, I mean, he's got to be nice because he lives in Toledo. So it was really, I felt like the deck was kicking and I had him down to Maz. This is not an exaggeration. Had him down to Maz with 4 life left on Maz, right? And what does Maz have? 7? I don't know how many health she has. 8, right? So half health, almost done. And I had Boba Fett, full health, and I had a Force Illusion. So that's where we're at. If you were putting money down, right? Probably say Chip's got it. There's no way. How's the pot? He's got Maz, half health, Force Illusion. Well, what helps is when you have 2 vibro knives that go on Maz can win. And that's exactly
wow.
And I lost. Yep. I rolled nothing. He mitigated. He had ambush and used this little Maz ability with vibro knives. I mean, what are you going to do? That's Destiny. Yeah. He rolled good. And I lost. That's the one that got me the most. And I almost quit Destiny. But what are you gonna? Yeah, he was great, and that's why he's good. And it just
that's why he's got the fancy mat.
Still a little bit too soon. Yeah, it's the fancy mat.
It's okay, Chip. It's all right. We'll move on. On.
Anybody who says Vibro Knife still isn't good. Like Vibro Knife was everywhere, and Vibro Knife is a great card. It's a fair card now. But it if you have a Force Illusion, that's how you beat Force Illusion. Yeah,
it's still a good 2-drop with ambush and a good ability. So even though it's not as broken as it used to be, but still really, really good card.
Yep. Yeah. And that was that.
Cool. All right. So that's that round. We'll move on to 6. And this is when I played Thrawn Talzin. And this was a back and forth match. Came down to the wire. But in the beginning, he put both his shields on Mother Talzin. And then he played a Force Illusion first turn. And I rolled out damage all modified. So I rolled like a 3 on Sabine, +2 on Ezra, +2 on the Hidden Blaster, or, it could have been a holdout or whatever. But probably a holdout since the Hidden Blaster would have taken away one of the shields. But so I rolled out, 7 damage, and it was all in one. And part of me would have felt really bad putting that into Towson because he would have just Force Illusioned it. And sure, I just discarded 7 cards, but I also didn't put any damage on in the first round, which isn't the worst thing in the world, but I ended up doing it to Thrawn. So I went for Thrawn first, and I figured that would take away the tactical mastery plays. And it ended up going pretty well, and it was a back and forth match. I made a huge mistake. At one point, he rolled out Towson, and he had a DH-17 on her also, and he rolled the 2 on her, the 1 on, or he rolled something on the DH-17 and a resource on the other Towson, and he focused, he revealed the top card of the deck. Of course, it was odd, and flipped the DH-17 to 1 because he knew I had easy pickings and was playing around it. And in my mind, I was like, oh, he's just going to play around it. There's no point for me. I'm just going to claim, get my resource, draw a card. And what does he do? He has like 3 rerolls. He pitches a reroll. He gets the 2, 2, and 2, which is exactly what he needed to kill Sabine, and Sabine dies. So at that point, the game's basically over, and he was able to wrap that up. Super disappointing because of the misplay on my part, and that's not to take anything away from him, but man, it felt so bad seeing a 2, a 2, and a 2 resolved against me when I had easy pickings in my hand. So I claimed way too early on that. So 4 and 2.
Hey, if you had fun, you won. You're still doing well. 4 and 2. You're still feeling good though at this point. You're pumped going in that last game, right?
Yeah, of course.
No, I have a text here saying I'm so nervous. Actually, is what he was feeling about that last game. He was giving us nice updates.
I knew it was a win or go home, really. At that point, of course, you could look at every game almost like that. But when you're 4-2 and going into that last round, you know that if you lose, you're not making that cut, and if you win, you got a chance.
Yeah, exactly.
How many rounds was it? 7? I don't even remember.
7. Yeah.
That tells you how much at that point I knew it was over.
And this is the round where you played Callus, right?
Yeah. So I said enough about that. After I played that, I said that deck is just broken. Like that was insane how quickly. I didn't think. I thought Callus was a great character, and that combo was just like you said. You avoided 18 damage in 2 rounds. Like if you don't have, I'm not playing hyperspace jump. I can't end the game or end a turn in the middle of somebody's turn. So there's not much you can do when that happens except take it.
Yeah, if that deck can ramp early, it's very scary because that's the problem it has is resources. But if you can get a lot real early, you should be good.
Well, I got it all back in the last round. I won't spoil it.
Well, my favorite part that comes right after this is what you went to buy a bottle of water, but there was a minimum, so you had to buy some packs to use your card.
I did.
And as you're opening up the packs, the first pack you get wasn't it a Callus, and you're like, all right, Destiny.
Yeah, I was rubbing it into the salt in the wound is what it was. But I got an Obi's lightsaber.
That's rough.
So that was good. 1 legendary, not a Yoda, of course, but yeah, that was all right. I absolutely should have had the game against Obi Mas. So that's 4 and 2. Like, and the other game, R2P2, or Count Dooku, any of those. Like I should have won those games. But that leaves you with something to work for, and that's how Destiny goes, man. That's the fun of it. It's just I like this so much better than when I played Magic. I can't even tell you. It's so much better.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, like me walking away, I'm walking away with a specific learning experience of claiming too early. Like it's something I'm still walking away with knowledge, and I'm upset that I made the mistake. But it's not like I'm walking away, just not knowing what to do. It's a learning experience. Now, next regional or tournament I go to, it's something that I'm going to be able to apply and do better next time.
For sure. Oh, and fingers place to being Ezra. We're all hoping.
Yeah, of course.
But that's
all right. So we go into the last round.
Coming, Maryland. You'll have the.
No, I can't go to Maryland. I might be going to Connecticut.
Oh, Connecticut. That's what you said. Connecticut. I apologize.
Yeah, and that's only like three hours, so it's not ideal. But I mean, Maryland's 2.5. So
yeah, no, it's good. It's a jump for you.
Yeah, it's not 6. And so, all right. So we go into round 7, and like I said, I'm feeling a little nervous because, of course, I want to win and finish 5 and 2 and get a chance at that top 8. And I sit down and he busts out Kylo 2. I was like, oh man, of course, the one guy who's a good counter to Sabine potentially because of his automatic 2 damage. But generally, even in my testing, I wasn't even too worried about Kylo 2. And I actually still go for Mother Talzin first because of her consistency that she brings to the deck. So I was able to kill her, and I played around Kylo's ability a lot. Like I would always play 1 yellow card in hand. And at one point I had like 2 holdout blasters in my hand, and I didn't discard them going into the next round, even though I would have liked a weapon in my ambush pile. It was just nice having the two of them, even though they were clogging up my hand. He picked holdout blasters back-to-back rounds, so it saved me 4 damage, and just really didn't have to worry about it too much. And of course, I felt bad because he was a nice guy, and he kind of knew he wasn't making the top 8, and I, did the never tell me the odds Sabine things and blew him out. And
yeah,
this is so nice.
Was, I just wanted it to make sure he had fun and experienced all that Destiny is.
He's such a nice guy, and then I played these broken cards and made him never play again. But it was great. It was great.
Well, I walk him out with a stack of cash. I think he sold all his collection right there.
Yeah. Well, at least you're going to sell to people who want it. So that's good.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I finished 5-2. And Chip, how'd your 7th round go?
5-2. I mean, he's feeling good. You should have seen him. He was feeling good. It's like, this is a done deal. I'm going to go. Where are we going to get dinner? Like, I'll even eat at the Scary Murder Hotel. Like, I'm good. We got half an hour.
That's definitely not true.
Let's go. And so I sit across from a guy. I don't know his name because I think I tried to ask, but so he played 5 Jawas,
yes.
right?
Yes.
So, yes.
Now, here's what I would say. I thought about doing it, but I didn't do it. He did.
Wait, what's your record at this point?
I'm 2 and 4. So it could get really salty quick. And when he throws that down, I'm like, all right, if I lose, and the Destiny gods were watching, I said, if I lose, it's over. Like, the podcast is over. This is pretty much a done deal. Equipment goes to, I'll give it to Jack, whatever. I don't care. So what I learned was there are people who thought about playing 5 die, even brought it, but didn't play it. And we're a type of people. But then there's the people who actually played it, and they're a very different type of person. And he was super funny and super fun to play against. I do believe I asked him his name, and I think he said it in Ewok. So I wish that was even an exaggeration. So I don't really know what his name is. And the 2 things he did, which were amazing, was he played Sound the Alarm, which, if you listen to any of the stuff that we do, that's my favorite card. And it's like $90, and I talk about it all the time. He did did you hear him? He did like the conch shell with his hand. No. I'm not even kidding.
This isn't real.
He stood up, pushed the chair back. He went like as loud as he could. I'm like, I'm going to lose to this freaking guy. Like, this is how it's going to be done. And then he played, he killed Boba Fett, right? So that happened, just so you know. with by the way, he did that with Bartholomew, and you know why I know that? Because he named all 5 of them.
Yeah, he named all 5 Jawas.
This guy is my hero. Oh my god.
Yeah, I wish I was I couldn't make it up. So he kills Boba Fett, and then he screams Houtini standing on the chair. Now, by the way, that's how that happened. So at this point, I'm like, all right, this is over right now, and then we won. But holy mackerel, it was. Yeah. I think he embraced the spirit of the deck, and at the same time, my last takeaway of this whole experience is that Destiny players are as a whole, right? And I know there's little extremes, but it is a cool community, and it's exactly what you think. The guys behind me were playing friggin' Yu-Gi-Oh! And one guy was having a temper tantrum, which tells you all about, and I was 2 seconds away. My teacher inside of me was about to get up and ask him if he needed a timeout. But so that all was happening at the same time. The guy's having a meltdown. Boba Fett dies. He's screaming Houtini and doing the conch shell. I'm 2 and 4, going to lose to 5 Jawas. And
so this guy won 2 games with this prior, right? I mean, most likely he was 2 and 4 when he played you, or maybe 1 and 5 or whatever.
Oh no, he was one game. Yeah,
What was 1 and 5? Dude, if he's out there, if you're listening, like, I think we might be soulmates. So right into us.
Pretty
please.
Fun. It was pretty. So I give him all the credit in the world. He's a very gracious guy, but he was nuts, like legit. So there you go. Now I'm ready to root Jack on. Jack, it's back to you because here we go. Top 8.
Yeah, no. So that's we stick around. And I was looking, similar to Tommy in that aspect. I was looking around trying to figure out where everybody was kind of sitting, who I had played, and generally, I think the Poe Hondo that I lost to in the first round ended up going 4 and 3. A few guys pulled back, and they were generally near the top or middle of the pack. So I was feeling kind of confident. And then I asked the Thrawn Townsend that I lost to. I asked him how he did, and he said he lost. So he finished. I guess he finished 5-2 also, but he beat me, of course. So I would assume he would get in, but he might have finished. I don't think he was 6-0 at that point. So yeah, he was definitely 5-2. But once I heard he lost, and I think the Obi Mods player lost that last round too, and I was like, no, you people are supposed to help me out and win games. And yeah, once the pairings went up, I looked at it and I was out by like 0.01%. So definitely a bummer, but I walked away with those clear tokens, which were pretty cool.
They're cool, yeah. And 9th is great, dude. 9th's a really good finish.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
The 9th isn't the problem, right? I mean, let's call it the way it is. 0.01. You can't tell me that FFG's computer is that accurate that it can discern the difference between a player by 0.01% or whatever.
Agree.
There was zero chance of that. So my take on that is it was alphabetical order at that point for 8 and 9. It didn't work, but it's another day. You're 8th and the other one's 9th. So
yeah.
Well, I really thought tiebreakers were how far you drove. So I really thought I kind of had that in the bag, but I guess not.
In my mind, you always make the top cut, Jack, at that point. You're all right. Destiny Dad says you're all right, son.
Thanks, Dad. I'll make sure I play tournaments at your house all the time. I'll always make the top cut.
I'm about old enough, Jack. That's the thing. But I mean, you handled it really well, and I'm sorry that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a good learning experience. I never want to walk in. I'm never the person that's going to walk into a tournament and expect top 8. It's my goal to get there, and I'm hoping for that. But walking away, I had a great time, great experience. First regional tournament ever, biggest thing I've been to, and to place 9th and just have the good time that I did. Of course, I'm going to walk away happy, even though my goal necessarily wasn't met.
You did better than Brian.
Yeah. By the way, about Brian, who cares about Brian? Brian's like over in the corner, like. Oh. We're all worried about Jack. Jack, are you okay, Jack? If Brian's over
there. Soda Jack.
By the frisbee, because they sell frisbees in Millennium 2 for some reason.
Yeah, they have disc golf stuff, and they have like the driver discs. They have the short range disc. Like they had all the kinds.
Like legit. Like this is the place in the country if you want to get your disc
I really
golf
do.
on. By the way, in Rochester, New York, which is a great year-round disc golf.
Of course, the weather's perfect.
So so Brian at this point I think is hiding underneath a 3-wood frisbee or something.
What did Brian go? 3-4? 4-3?
I think he finished 3 and 4.
Yeah.
But I think what made him upset the most was the fact he played Thrawn Townsend and for 2 of them to make the top 2 and him go 3 and 4. And ultimately, I was like, Brian, don't sweat it. It's not your ability. It's the fact that you were coached by the 3rd best Golden Dice host, Shane.
Yes,
if you would have talked to me or Tommy, you might have came in 9th.
Dude, man, he sent me a text so late. I think it was like he's probably in the car on the way up there. He's like, "I'm going Thrawn Townsend," and I'm like, "Oh dear Lord," because like
that's nice. That's a good reaction. Oh dear.
you need some practice with that, man. I'm not even sure that deck is tier 1 yet. I mean, I see it placing. I still think it's high tier 2, low tier 1, but it just counters a really popular tier 1 deck, and good players can play Thrawn well. Like you need to have like full deck familiarity with your own deck, with others' deck. You need to be calling 0s 1 early, pitching removal from their hand so 1000s 2s can actually stay there. You need to know when to call 3s against Sabine Ezra so you can actually, get rid of those hyperspace jumps. You just need to know a lot of stuff. And I think that deck suffers hard against aggro. Like I would not like to go up against Mr. Chip's 7th Boba against that. I don't think that's a good matchup. I don't think Sabine Ezra is a good matchup. And I don't know what Brian played, but I just think there's a lot of practice, a lot of games you need to get in with Thrawn Townsend before you can take that to a regional.
Yeah, I concur on that. I put it together and played it a little bit, and you just got to know those lines of play for sure.
You do.
Yeah, so I definitely owe him a drink or something like that for taking that 6-hour ride with me.
I was just gonna say the last thing. It's more a jab of Brian, but I think the reason he actually went 3 and 4 isn't because he took my advice. It's because he didn't. He switched my deck list up. Like, what's up with that? What are you doing?
Well, that probably brought him from 1 and 6 to 3 and 4.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah,
I was gonna say don't neck deck me.
So there's my. So I thought, you know what? As I played this in my mind when I was winning and publishing my deck list, like, I made a few tweaks. Like, here's my big tweak. You ready? Salvage stand. I thought, dude, this is going to be it. Everybody, this is going to suck everybody's resources. Not going to expect it. This is the thing. Yeah. That was so worthless. It was like the biggest waste of garbage. And that card used to be so oppressive. And
it did.
It was like everyone had like 9, but you can't have 9. But Maz's Vault and money's all over the place. Nobody cares. They're playing truces and giving away money. Nobody, just take your money. It's fine.
Yeah.
So that,
Yeah, I like that card for a while. I think it has lost value. Totally agree. It's just like, and people can just play around it. If you're showing 2, but they claim last turn, all right, I'll spend my 2 first. It's like, who cares?
yeah, it was a waste.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well,
Next
that's our regional wrap. And I guess, Chip, we can kind of say if there's anything offer advice, specific, whether specifically for your Boba 7 sister or just people in general going to a regional, is there something that you wish you knew that you didn't know before going into it? Any changes or anything to your deck, or just general preparation?
Yeah, the guy who played the Jawas name, I would prefer to know that. I think that, man, I don't know. Like coercion, I thought was going to be super good, and that never really helped me at all. So the changes I made were terrible, and I think part of that is just having time to play test. But I would say to people, just know that everyone is nervous, and that's how you get. And so if you just take it as an opportunity just to meet people, and the people were super nice and relaxed, and the wins are there if you put in the time. And I know I'm not sure what podcast it is. I don't mean to call them out, but I do a little bit, that they're talking about testing, like, oh, it's overblown, like testing. I could sleep and the next day pick my deck. And, not everybody can do that, because not everybody breathes Destiny 24/7 and gets a chance to play. So find something. And, like Zach Bunn's a good example. I mean, he owns a card store, but, he's got it. He knows how to play Han really well. And if you know it, then you probably got a chance. And there was definitely chances to be had. And as oppressive, I wouldn't say oppressive, as prevalent as Talzin was, it didn't feel, I don't know, Jack, if you feel this way, and you too, Shane, if it doesn't feel totally broken, but it's definitely invading, like kind of like the stink bug of the meta, right? It's kind of everywhere, and it doesn't really, I mean, it's annoying, but it's not, it's not going to kill you.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like 7th was kind of like the same way. I mean, with 7th Boba, then you have the Bro TK, and then people were playing 7th Tarkin, and it's just like same thing. It's another blue dark lady force user coming into the field, but it's just because they're both 14 points or 12 points, and you get 3 dice for 14, or you get 2 dice and you get to automatically turn a die every turn for 12. It's just, they're good characters, but they're on the cusp of like, I don't think they're broken. I don't think they need a balance, but I do think you're going to see them like crazy. So,
yeah. So that's my takeaway, I think. And I do think there's going to be some changes coming. I just don't know when. And, predicting that is a fool's errand. So I think you expect it and then work around it. And there's ways to work around all of them. So. Yeah. What about you, Jack?
My big thing too is just don't get nervous going into that first round, especially because that's kind of where all the height of the nervousness comes in, is that first round. You're really hoping to do well, start off on the right foot, but just focus. I mean, you've probably played games with that before, and just go through your deck, go through the motions, you know how it works, what you're looking for, try to pull those combos off, and just do what you normally do, and not think about that it's a regional with 60 to 70 other people there. Just focus on your game and take care of it one game at a time, and you might find yourself in 9th place like me.
Yeah, right.
Or you'll do better.
That game is
do better.
That first, the first game is like the ball's on the tee, and you know what's about to happen. So I mean, that's out of the way. That's a win I should have had. Like that you got to grab that one and go after it. So, but
the ball's on the tee, and your secret droid die is in the car.
In the car. And Alan Preston, who also had 5 die Jawa built and ready to go, he pulls one out of his little whatever fishing tackle box.
He just had everything.
He did bring a lot of dice. That was a lot.
And I'll be seeing him again this Saturday at Connecticut.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Thumbs down on the fanny pack, by the way. You know why? Because I went with the Zen bin, and the Zen bin was very underrated. I don't know if that is an amazing product to bring.
Yeah, it does look nice.
You know what it is? It was $6. It's $6 at Miniature Mart. So, why not? And it you put your little tokens in there, like tokens and all that riff-raff, like the accoutrement. Is a little much for me for the game. So I think if you can contain it, and it's got a little shield for the dice, and I don't know, I really liked it. So, but it didn't fit in the fanny pack.
Dang.
I know. It was tough, but it was good. It was a good time. And I really, I wanted to play immediately when I got home, but I had to not do that.
That's awesome. That's how you know you had a fun time. Because, I mean, a lot of times people can feel burnout after that type of thing, but it's good to hear with, even after 7 games, you still want to keep going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. we'll move on. We'll move away from Rochester a little bit since we're a little past an hour, but I want to just talk about for a second the prize support for Worlds.
Yeah.
And man, they look awesome. So for anybody that hasn't, you can go to Fantasy Flight's website, and then on their news they got the World stuff. But just for entry, you get a Star Wars Destiny T-shirt. You get a binder with Darth Vader, a different image than the binders that they're currently selling for Vader. You get an alt art Palpatine, the original Palpatine, 15 health, 27 point or 28 point or whatever he is. And he's doing the lightning shock that he's doing in Return of the Jedi on Luke. So he looks really cool there. You'll get 100 World Championship sleeves, and then you get 10 tokens or credits or whatever they are to spend on the prize wall stuff. So that's super awesome, and that makes me excited to be going to Worlds, as I was lucky enough to get a ticket.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff.
And man, there's a whole 5 wide battle droids, and the art extends over the 5 droids. It looks super cool. It looks like the art from Strength of Numbers. I think strengthening numbers, whatever that 2 cost, deal damage for the amount of exhausted characters you have. It looks like that art spread across the 5 battle droid picture. So if you lay them out, it'll all look like one art. It's awesome.
Trying to be nice. So I deleted a tweet when the initial pieces came out about the lottery and all that stuff. And I know that they can only support so much, right? But I think people who want to get in to this event, there's other podcasts that will tell you, well, you just win a regional. Well, guess what? Some of the best players in the world are not going to win a regional. It's not going to happen. There's not enough of them to go around. And so if you want, make it a top 32 and have 32 regionals and have just those people come, because then the rest of it is a lottery. And you got people who I think, and this isn't me because I'm not able to go, but people who do a lot for the game that are not, who really deserve to go, aren't going to have an opportunity to do that. And so these are amazing prizes, and I think they do a great job with this stuff. And I love the stuff that's coming out. I hope they do more. I'm one that's all for foil cards and all that stuff because I'm a collector, but I just wish there was an opportunity for more people to be able to get this because it looks really awesome. But it's really, really limited. So anyway, that's that.
I do. I like some of the exclusivity. Like, I like that there's just one, Darksaber mat. That's awesome. But yeah, in general, like, does there need to be only these people having access to the power tokens? Like, power tokens are something everyone could use. The battle droids are cool. Like, some of the stuff everyone would want, and it's not just Destiny. I mean, I know we're a Destiny podcast here, but like the X-Wing stuff is awesome. Like, the dice are super cool. The tokens are super cool. Like, and it's, some of this I get wanting to have like only one in the world, and it, rises the price of it, makes it look really cool and unique. But some of the smaller stuff like tokens, some shiny cards, that should be a little bit more available. I totally agree.
For sure. Like I get the idea that the tournament, right? The constructed tournament for standard, you're only going to have one of those, and there's only so many people that they can support in a quality, meaningful way. And on what the heck's the name of it? Your Destiny podcast, they had the guy who's the European play manager or whatever talk about that. Like they only have so many people, and that makes sense. But you've got all kinds of other events that you could throw for Destiny, like those pods or whatever. So give people like that event, that whole whatever. You just have it in one of those things. Like give those prizes away to more people who go at that day. It doesn't have to be even beyond those 3 days or whatever it is, but just people a chance.
It stinks because I like the idea that they have it at Fantasy Flight, Game Center, like at their headquarters. And I think that's really awesome. And people get to go there and experience that, kind of be immersed in Fantasy Flights and everything that it is. But they have a relatively small space. And like we talked about it, you could expand all these tournaments. And like, especially now you have Legion coming in. Legion's going to take up a lot of space at Next Worlds, right? It's a tabletop game. It's larger than X-Wing, of course, larger than Imperial Assault, much larger than Destiny. And now that, they're starting to run out of room as they keep expanding. And I think them just, even if they rented out some giant hall or something and just had the tournaments there and kind of mix it up a little bit, I think that would be cool. I get the idea that you want Worlds to be exclusive a little bit for some of the top players. And I do get that, but I think the scene as a whole would benefit if more people are able to just even come and, like you said, just do the side pods or have side tournaments. Some of those casual players might come, they might do the giant Swiss tournament and say they even just go 0-2 and drop, then they can just do the pods. Or, if they finish it out and get 3 wins and get that Kanan card or whatever it might be, that's cool too. It doesn't, ultimately you're going to be playing the good players on that second day cut. And then at the top Top Cut. So the good players don't have to worry about it. If anything, we'll just give them an easy win and right in the beginning. I don't think it's anything for them to worry about. I think the game would benefit more if they were able to expand and have more than whatever 300 or whatever amount of people they're having.
Yeah, it's definitely a healthy number. But you're not even getting the top players, because if you've got the people who I saw who didn't get in, that you're eliminating some of the top players. And I think if you just say, give the winner a guaranteed seat, but if the top 8, or in your case top 9, but if they apply, or top 16 even, top 16 from each regional, let them get preferential treatment in the lottery at least, right? I mean, I'd be okay with that. I think you deserve that. If I finished 41st and you finished 9th, and we both applied to the whatever to get into Worlds, that you should have a little bit more preference in terms of like have an extra, 2 tickets in the raffle or whatever it is to get them. I don't know. There could be a way to at least, you should have a little bit better chance being a top 8 or a top 16 to get into the world tournament for it, because you proved at a regional that you were, that good. That's all I'm saying. So like when Mike Rudin doesn't get in, or when Jedi Geek Girl doesn't get in, and this is not them talking, this is me talking. I feel like that's not great for the game, but they're way less salty about it than I am. So that's fine.
Yeah, well, I actually got rejected at first too, but it was something. Basically, how it worked in the beginning. These links have now expired, so anybody that got them isn't able to share them. But if you got the link and you won the lottery, but you knew you weren't able to go, you could give your link to somebody else. And so Jedi Geek Girl is also going to be going, but she got it through the same way that I did.
Oh, good. You know what? I missed that over the last couple of days because I almost burned all my cards. But that is great news.
Yeah, and that's like, why wouldn't you want Jedi Geek Girl there, even if it's just for media coverage? She does so much for this game and keeping everybody across the country informed of, her road to regionals, her road to nationals that'll be starting up. And I'll be working with her a lot on the store championship stuff. And it's like, why wouldn't you want somebody who does so much for this game not at Worlds in some capacity?
Yeah,
right. If they're it's not like they're getting free admission. They're paying their way, and
yeah, you're still paying the $80 fee to get in. You're paying for flight, hotels, all these things. So,
mind you, none of them said any of this. This is me just being a little bit salty and an old guy. And then tomorrow morning, I'll wake up and say, why did I say all that stuff? But I really,
it's just
you want everybody.
You said it on somebody else's podcast, right? It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's golden dice. Whatever. I mean it, though. I care about these people.
Yeah, but so, ideally they can expand that in the future, but we'll see how it goes. But yeah, these prizes look really cool. There's a Darth Maul mat. There's like a winner's medal that's a reference to the New Hope medals, the Battle of Yavin medals. There's some power action tokens. There's 11 of them. So there's speculation as to what that 11th one is there's only 10 power power actions in the game. And then top 4, you get like an art that is the Patience art with Rey kind of having her helmet on the knee on Jakku. Runner up, you get a finalist plaque that has a Jyn Erso on it, and then the winner, you get that Sabine with a dark saber and a pretty sweet little plaque type thing.
Pretty cool.
So it's really cool stuff. Worlds is getting me excited.
Is that a vibro knife?
No, that is a dark saber.
Oh, dark saber. Sorry.
It was wielded by the first Mandalorian Jedi, I believe.
Yeah, of course.
If I have
I love Star Trek. It's a really good show. So my favorite story about prizes is Tiny Grimes talking about how he got his little whatever it was. I think it was, I forgot what he finished, top 8 or top 4. And they sent him
at Gen Con, they sent him the Imperial Assault stuff, right? Or something.
He's like, you know what? That's totally way better. And so he kept it. I don't know if he ever got his medal, but that's
awesome.
That's hard. I get that's hard to, it's a lot of people.
Keeping track.
Sure. It's a few people managing it. There's not like 25 people that manage the prize support there. So I'm sure they're doing the best they can.
So as we close up here, Mr. Chip, I wanted to throw one more last attempt to get you to watch Rebels. So I'm going to paint this picture, and now it's not going to be too spoilery of anything because, for any of the listeners who haven't watched it yet, definitely go do that if you're a Rebels fan. But Mr. Chip, what if I pose this question?
Yes, I'm ready.
What would win in this battle?
Mm-hmm.
A Star Destroyer
mm-hmm.
or a giant squid space eel thing?
Giant squid. So we're talking about the squid space eel thing from like, what is it? The first episode 1 that like chased in the water. When at that point I said that George Lucas had peed all over my childhood. during that. When I saw
not,
that.
not quite there. But even if you don't care who wins, just think about that battle, and I'm sure that'll hook you on the Rebels, because that's all you've ever wanted from Star Wars, isn't it?
Oh, is that what happened? So a Star Destroyer and a space squid thing battle. Please tell me
Head
that
to head.
happened. Is that a spoiler like from the last? This is like so inside and I'm on the outside.
You have to watch it.
All right. Really, I prefer the picture you painted about. You were like Hemingway describing your drive through the Poconos Mountains. I mean, I'm like, oh my God, Poconos. Really? I can't imagine. God, is that where your honeymoon's going to be, Jack?
No, I'll probably head south. Get away from Rochester as far away as I can.
Yeah, please, please do. Take a
Towards
left.
the
Last thing I want is Mr. Chip walking up to me with some alt art promos and saying, "Hey, man, you listen to my podcast?"
I'm looking for some nice 70s hot spots too, like the Poconos, maybe Aruba. You could head over there too. It's nice.
Nice.
Yeah, Poconos and Aruba are basically the same thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very close. But well, it was awesome. Come your way. I wish I could. I wish I could do Connecticut. But Shane, are you going to do regionals? What's your deal?
No, I'm very casual. No, I haven't done a store championship. I haven't done a regional. Connecticut is not happening. When's Maryland now? Because Maryland's
Next Saturday, the
possible.
17th.
That's the 17th. More free on that day. I don't know. I really want to do a galactic qualifier. That's the one that interests me the most. I like that idea of just kind of being able to drop and get back into a pod or whatever. That appeals to me. And I know I missed the one in Philly, which sucked. But and there's also Nova coming up, right?
Yeah, there's Nova and PAX East, I think, is the first weekend of April or the last weekend of March, but that's up in Boston.
Yeah, I know PAX East is far. Nova's down in DC, right?
Just right outside. But yeah, those are some options. But yeah, for anybody that is wondering, like, trying to figure out Shane, he's basically the kid who just knows all the cards, knows all the combos, never plays the game, but could throw a deck together and just completely counter everything you ever thought of.
Sounds about right.
That's what I go for. That's the stigma I want. So thanks for spreading that, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, again, he it's been like he's the guy that got me into the game, and now I'm about like $2 million in debt. I had to mortgage a house and sell off, just a few body parts to pay for these ancient lightsabers and force speeds. And I'm playing all this time. I do a podcast, and Shane, he's maybe played like one game in the past like 10 years of Destiny. So he got me into it. Now he doesn't even play with me anymore.
Just talk about it. That's all.
His poor
he
brother
just talks about it.
Baby, and he goes over to his house. He just got his newborn child, and he beat them with an Afro deck.
I did.
Like, that tells you
that did happen.
How the mighty
with the Lando Kanan deck.
Lando Kanan took him to town, dude. He had no idea. He was like, "Wait, can you partnership in with one with the Force twice in the same game?" I was like, "I can. I actually can do that."
Tommy, read the rulebook, kid. Come on. All right, so we are approaching an hour and a half, so this is a nice and long one. At this point, Mr. Chip, so if anybody wants to go and find you and listen to your podcast, get in touch with you, what are ways they can do that?
Yep, they come on down to past the Pocono Mountains, and you want to head east, and then you go back to where you came from. You can see me on Double Blanks from time to time. There's some great guys, and on YouTube, I was just recently beaten down by Jay and his crazy decks, and you saw how good I roll, so you get a chance to do that on YouTube.
Yeah, that was rough.
But the best place to do it is if you like spoken word, well, you're in luck, because that's what I do. It's podcast. It's called Discard to Reroll. Star Wars. I'm the Audible of Star Wars Destiny. So, yep, and we're on Google Play and iTunes, and for the 3 people that listen on iHeartRadio, we're on that too.
That's amazing.
Oh, it's something. But we enjoy doing it, and super fun. So thanks.
Cool.
I love your stuff, and it really, I have learned a ton of stuff from you guys. So great job, and I really love being on.
Thanks, man. Dude, we loved having you on, and I loved being on last week on your show with Star Wars Destiny Center. It was great.
He's a good dude. He is a very good dude, and I want to hear about his next regionals at some European place he said he was going to play. So Shane's awesome, and Shane, you need to play. You clearly got the chops.
I need to get out more. Tommy tells me all the time. But yeah, it was very nice meeting you. And I honestly do not check out content very much online. I just like to stare at Destiny DB and just theorycraft all day. But I have been actually listening to Discard to Reroll. You guys do a great job over there too. So you are probably the only other podcast I listen to. So kudos to that.
Well,
and great job. Nice meeting you.
Appreciate that.
Awesome. So last plugs, give a shout out to the Hangar Bay. They are, I guess, based out of Rochester, but they had some of the videos of the finals and some the top table going through the Rochester tournament. So they uploaded some videos. So if you were looking for some matches to watch, that option is there also. So shout out to them for putting that work in. And a few other guys also helped run the event too. So thanks to them for helping make that Rochester regional a smooth one.
Very, very cool. All those guys, and Thundershot Games too. I know he's done a lot of good stuff too. I enjoyed meeting him and all the people from the Double Blanks community too came down to play from Albany, but it was awesome to see him.
Yeah. I was about to say my next shout out was to Thundershot. Him and I are going to try and do some content together. How that forms out, not exactly sure, but it was great meeting Ray and getting to know him. And again, it was awesome time. Shout out to all the friends and fans that we got to meet out at Rochester. It was just an overall great time.
Speaking about prize support, the merch tent, it was like you closed it so fast, the Golden Dice merch tent. We couldn't get in there fast enough to get those chartreuse shirts.
Yeah, we sold out as soon as I put the table out. You know, there was zero stuff for sale, and it sold instantly.
Yeah, I tried to buy your CD and stuff, and like that wasn't even available. It was crazy.
Yeah, I felt like I had this like homeless guy walking around trying to get me to buy him food.
Yep, that was
basically what it was. But either way, Mr. Chip, it was great having you on. Thanks again. And to all our listeners, we are on iTunes. I'm trying to put some more YouTube gameplay videos up. So if you guys are looking for some of that stuff, we are out there. We're on Twitter, on Facebook, all that good stuff to check us out there. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you next time.